Yeah, stay here, bud. Come on, you can sit back down with me. Come on. Here we go. Come on. That's a good boy. All right. Welcome to Purple Church of Jesus. Everyone is welcome. And all of our puppies, too. You know, there's this person who, a long time ago, I don't know the person's name, but I think were somewhere in California, inland California, Central California, I don't know. Anyway, a long time ago, well, they say she was crazy, but who knows? But anyway, she had a lot of money, I guess. And she was really isolated out there in the middle of nowhere, California. And she was a ballerina. So she loved to dance and dance and dance and dance and dance. That's all she ever wanted to do is dance and dance and dance. But she lived in the middle of nowhere. So she bought this little theater. And she had, either she did it herself or she asked somebody to do it for her. But she painted all through the theater a whole bunch of people, her audience. And she would dance. Every day she would dance for her audience. You know, and she'd put on her ballerina clothes and go up on that stage and get the lights right. And she would dance for her audience. And that was her wish, and that was the fulfillment of her wish out in the middle of nowhere. Not Texas, California. But I mean, maybe you can look it up, or maybe I should look it up. But I guess it's a thing, and you can go visit. It's like a museum now. She's passed away, but I guess this, at least, I don't know, a couple decades ago, it was still there. This theater with all the people, the audience, painted on the walls facing the stage, and that was her thing. So I start with saying that because, first of all, welcome to our very second Purple Church of Jesus for the month. A friend of mine suggested maybe we could do a couple of these. So I said, okay. And I thought, how will I remember when I'm supposed to do the second one? First one's easy because it's the last shall be first. The last shall be first. So the last Thursday of the month. And Thursday because when I was a little kid, I remember elementary school, some kid came up to me. This is probably third, maybe fourth grade, probably fourth grade. The kid came up to me and said, "You're gay." I said, "Why am I gay? I don't even know what that means, but why are you saying I'm gay?" Because I could tell it was a bad thing. I said, "Because you're wearing a purple shirt on Thursday. If you wear a purple shirt on a Thursday, that means you're gay. So you must be gay." I'm like, oh, golly, this world is crazy. I don't understand any of the rules of this world. I guess don't ever wear a purple shirt on Thursday. Otherwise, you're going to be this bad thing that you don't really know about yet, other than knowing it's bad. So anyway, that's why church is on Thursdays. And Purple Church, because easy to remember, because purple rhymes with Thursday, and don't ever wear a purple shirt on Thursday. Well, or only wear purple shirts on Thursday. And so the last shall be first, because of course the Bible having the last shall be first in the scriptures, easy to remember, last shall be first Thursday, last Thursday of the month. So adding the second one, I was trying to think of something clever so I'd remember, and other people could remember if they wanted to, when it'd be. So I decided every second is important. Take care of every second. So, starting today, this is the first one, every second Thursday of the month, we'll have another Purple Church of Jesus. But with that, this being the first one, there's nobody here but you and me and my little puppy Applejacks. Applejacks, you're a good boy. Have a dog. Always have a dog. That's a rule, huh, Applejacks? Have as many as possible. And then when it's time for me to go, just send me straight to doggy heaven. That's the only place I'd want to be after this. Right there with my buddy. So that's why I started this, not a sermon talking about ballerina in middle of nowhere, California. She had a bunch of money. She'd make a big theater. I don't have a bunch of money, but I was able to, with God's help, make brick and mortar Purple Church of Jesus. I haven't painted anybody's names or faces on the walls, but the people who are here, who have been here, have written their names on the walls while they're here, so they can know that they've been seen and loved, and they have a place here. This is home, sanctuary. So all these names on the wall right now, they're hanging out with me. So thanks, everybody, and thanks everybody there. You know, and thinking about, oh, okay, well, nobody shows up at this first one, and nobody knows what's happening, or everybody's busy anyway. What should I do? Should I just save this one for the last shall be first Thursday, or just go ahead? Of course, here we are. So you know the answer. And with that, and with my little puppy Applejacks, welcome to Purple Church of Jesus. Applejacks, you can't even see your face in the little picture. What are we gonna do? All right, they'll perk up every once in a while. I wanted to start, of course, like we do with corny song, great song, but can't sing it. So I'm gonna play maybe the first few notes, not on any instrument that will make you groan, but just the first few notes and see if you can guess what it is. I'll find it first. Here we go. Turn up the volume. There we go. Applejacks, you ready to sing along, bud? Yeah, there we go. You ready, Applejacks? Yeah! You know that one, huh? Yeah, that's a good boy, that's a good boy. Alright, you know enough of that to know that song. So, we're going to continue with that. Y'all and me and Applejacks. Let's Dance. Song by David Bowie that you probably know. If you don't, listen to it because it's awesome. And wanted to start out with that song because you know what, I'm going to read the lyrics. I'll read them later. I heard the song for the millionth time this week, and for some reason, hearing it again this week while I was driving around this time, it became the very first time that I heard it as a song about Jesus and me, dancing around and singing this love song. In fact, I'd never even heard the love in this song before. I even knew it was a love song. It had always been a song to drum out on the steering wheel while driving with my windows all down on a perfect day. And now, all out of nowhere, I was thinking it of as a love song between Jesus and me, thinking that it's because that's where my mind already is these days. So I'm hearing this song in a brand new way. And welcome to our very first, every second Thursday. Now we're in a purple shirt, but that's okay. During last month's Not a Sermon about radicalizing forgiveness and doubling down on love, I talked quite a bit about the woman in the Bible who the people of town had surrounded, preparing to stone her to death. And Jesus approached with one of his most quotable phrases ever: "He who is without sin, let him cast the first stone." And we all know what happened with the town people all leaving after that. But what did Jesus say to the woman after saying, "Go and sin no more"? We talked about that part too, but what happened after that? So in John, you want to read this one, Applejacks? You want to read my Bible? Is there a puppy Bible? There should be. We should write a puppy Bible, huh? Be lots of treats in there. Jesus bringing you treats. Let me find this John. Where was I? Chapter 8, verses 10 through 16. That's a good boy. What are we doing in here? Are you worrying about your papa just sitting in here on the floor with you, just talking? Like, am I okay? Yeah, I'm okay. We're good together, bud. All right, John chapter 8, verses 10 through 16. And this is right after all of that happened with Jesus saying, go and sin no more. We didn't have a meditation, did we? Applejack's is already meditating. So we're going to meditate just for a sec. And I'm going to read the first little bit of Let's Dance about Jesus and me. Having a love song, a new one that I didn't even know about before, even though I had heard it a million times. Let's dance. Put on your red shoes and dance the blues. Let's dance. The songs playing on the radio. Let's sway while color lights up your face. Let's sway. Sway through the crowd to an empty space. If you say run, I'll run with you. If you say hide, we'll hide. Because my love for you would break my heart in two if you should fall into my arms and tremble like a flower. Let's dance. For fear your grace should fall, let's dance. For fear tonight is all. Let's sway. You could look into my eyes. Let's sway. Under the moonlight, the serious moonlight, the way David Bowie sings it. The serious moonlight. Okay, let's read about this lady who just got saved from a whole bunch of rocks. Here we go. John chapter 8, verses 10 through 16. When Jesus had lifted up himself and saw none but the woman, he said unto her, Woman, where are those thine accusers? Hath no man condemned thee? She said, No man, Lord. And Jesus said unto her, Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. Continuing. Then spake Jesus again to them, saying, to them, the town people, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. The Pharisees therefore said unto him, Thou bearest record of thyself. Thy record is not true. Pharisees always threatened. You don't see that these days, do you? Somebody threatened, somebody in power, threatened by somebody speaking truth. That never happens these days. That must be olden times. But yeah, the Pharisees got pretty shook up by this coming from Jesus, saying, Thou bearest record of thyself. Thy record is not true. Fake news, Jesus. Jesus answered, sorry, I shouldn't have gotten political. Jesus answered and said unto them, Though I bear record of myself, yet my record is true. For I know whence I came and whither I go, but ye cannot tell whence I come and whither I go. Ye judge after the flesh. I judge no man. And yet, if I judge, my judgment is true. For I am not alone, but I and the Father that sent me. Speaking of the light of the world, from verse 12, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness. Under the moonlight. Okay, the next. Here's Jesus standing before Pilate, speaking of truth. And that will be in John 18. If you would like to take a moment and find your Bibles and turn to that with me. Now I'll read it for you. I'll read it for both of us. Okay, John 18, 36 and 37. This is about truth. Jesus answered, this is to Pilate now. Pilate's questioning him. And Jesus answers him, saying, My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. Pilate therefore said unto him, Art thou a king then? Jesus answered, like he's saying, well, nobody's going to fight for you, then how come you're saying you're a king? Jesus answered, Thou sayest that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Every one that is of the truth heareth my voice. I love that. If you're of the truth, you hear, you know. I don't have to prove anything to anybody, because you already know. If you got your ear to the truth, he who has ears, let him hear. Now, talking about signs and wonders, going back a little bit before that, John chapter 4. Read more scriptures this time than usual, but there's a lot of really great stuff in scriptures. If you don't read them, even a page every once in a while, you'll be surprised. You know, it's like back in Bible times. We're still in Bible times. And there's stuff in here that applies just as much as when it was written. And you know, speaking of writing, you know, the Bible would not exist if it wasn't for writers. So, cheers for all writers everywhere in the history of the world. Apple Jacks. We got to write a puppy Bible. All right, that'll be next. All right, here we are. Signs and wonders. To John chapter 4, verses 43 to 51. Now after 2 days, he departed thence and went into Galilee. For Jesus himself testified that a prophet hath no honor in his own country. Remember them saying, nothing good comes of Nazareth. Yeah, only Jesus. Pay attention, people. So Jesus himself testified that a prophet hath no honor in his own country. Then, when he was come into Galilee, the Galileans received him, having seen all the things that he did at Jerusalem at the feast, for they also went to the feast. So Jesus came again into Cana of Galilee, where he made the water wine, and there was a certain nobleman whose son was sick at Capernaum. When he heard that Jesus was come out of Judea into Galilee, he went unto him, and besought him that he would come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. Then Jesus said unto him, Except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. The nobleman saith unto him, Sir, come down ere my child die. Jesus saith unto him, Go thy way, thy son liveth. And the man believed the word that Jesus had spoken unto him, and he went his way. And as he was now going down, his servants met him and told him, saying, Thy son liveth. Signs and wonders. Then, about life through Jesus, talking to Martha and John still. John the Beloved. We're going to chapter 11. You know, the people who are not here in person are probably going, wherever they are, oh, there's going to be all this Bible reading at a church, by the way. I'm glad I'm not there for all this boring stuff, but this is really great stuff, and he who has ears, let him hear, because it's awesome. But they're all here anyway. I know people have lives, and they're all here with their names on the walls, and y'all are here too. So thank you for that. I'm showing up, doing the best I can with what I got. God said, hey, do this thing, and here I am doing it. So about life, talking with Martha in John chapter 11, verses 25 and 26. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? And she saith unto him, Yea, Lord, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which should come into the world. All right, Martha. Martha knew. So, though we were dead, Yet shall we live. Yet shall we live. Thinking of each of these scriptures together, starting with Jesus saying, I am the truth and the life. Then us, all of these years later, with the world we are in now, finding anything to be both of those things at once, truth and life, wondering, is anything even true anymore? Or is everything around us now just subjectiveness and spin? And where is their life worth living within anyway? Anything that is found to actually be truth as it's being grifted to begin with, when a lot of the time it seems like the truth is what is happening around us, is a lot of times either too depressing or too hopeless of a situation to keep going through. So then, what a miracle that would be to find them both all combined like that, and have it validate what is good in life, in each other, in ourselves, while giving us a sense of purpose and direction at the same time. Trying to find spiritual sustainability in this modern time when misinformation, misunderstanding, and the pseudo flashiness of attention-grabbing propaganda, kind of like the kettle calling the bluebird black and then calling a blackbird a bazooka. What is the truth? And where is their livable life within any of our shared spiritual currency from that morass of a tar pit that we're all stuck in, when it's combined with that version of truth? And how does any of that come about together in a way to bring us to a point of reflection on both of those things in a sustainable, spiritually nurturing way, absolutely together like that? And how can we reflect the truth, the way, and the life through what we do, to the point that anyone who is paying attention, any attention, can easily see that this is the truth, my puppy and me. And this is the life, my puppy and me, that has been promised. Even in these gigantically dysfunctional times, shining all bright and all combined together like that, through you, through each of us. I think that's something worth meditating on. One of the things that I've always found interesting is the theory, maybe it's already been proven and is no longer a theory, I'm not sure, is when a human is missing one of their senses, their other senses can become way more enhanced. Like someone who is blind can somehow hear very small, far away sounds far more distinctly than someone who can see. If that seeing person could have ever even heard it at all. While someone who is deaf could be seeing and noticing magnificent beauty in every direction, 3, 4, 5 dimensions, in all of life's ordinary, minute by minute minutia. A whole lot more than people who can both see and hear as they rush by, living in despair or depression, or both at the same time, for an extended amount of time, could almost be thought of as being both deaf and blind all at once. Their spiritual enhanced versions of compensating for each other, turning out to only be capable of magnifying the negative characteristics of both at once. That's real stuff. That, if you felt it, you know it. I have felt it, and I definitely felt it. I know a lot of people do. And then we just quietly move through life and we don't talk about it. Anyway, those things capable of magnifying the negative characteristics of both despair and depression at once, unless combined together with that voice that isn't quite the audible voice that others can hear, with a vision of what needs to be seen, knocking on the door saying, "Hey, can I come in here?" Wait, what? Who are you? Have I had a psychotic break? Is someone really knocking on my door, or is a miracle just about to happen? It's almost a cliche, to the point of being comical, how people from the Bible times through today, because like I said, we are still living in Bible times today, wanted to be given some kind of sign to help them believe in God or Jesus, to somehow provide validation of their truth, requiring enough situational redundancy is really what that was. Saying, okay, God proved to me that you're true. Well, that's kind of a redundancy. To feel that they could have faith, they had to have that first to believe. Needing to see a sign and seeing signs that are right in front of us just as plain as the nose on our faces is kind of like that. Needing reminders every once in a while to pay more attention to what's happening around us before someone fakes us out, pretends to take the truth of our nose right off our face. Remember that? We're like, oh, got your nose. Of course, there's the other cliche of cutting our own nose off to spite our face, but that'll fit in with another, not a sermon. Wanted to read a poem called When a Miracle Happens. Having some fun so far, Mr. Applejacks? I need to get you a little treat. All right, this is called When a Miracle Happens. It can be a little bit alarming at first, that thing that would never happen, happening in such a way that you can't say that it didn't because it did, even though it couldn't. Just look at my arms, because all of these goosebumps are still right here for both of us to see. In fact, just thinking about it again like that really is making them all get all goosebumping again and happy again. Look and tell me you don't see them. You can't, but I can, because it really did just happen. Look and tell me you don't see them, like waves gliding across my arms. What made all of that happen just happened right in front of you and me, and you want to say anything about there no longer being any such thing as miracles. Keep looking. That's a good one. And I love that I got goosebumps right in the middle of it, just like the poem does. Okay, so where was I? That's a poem called When a Miracle Happens. Going back to the scripture that I was reading at the beginning in John chapter 4, verses 43 to 51, Jesus told the man whose son was dying, the dying son who Jesus wasn't able to go see in person at that time, to go home and find his son both alive and healed. And that it was through this man's faith that this healing could happen. There are several examples of Jesus healing people through the faith that they already had in place prior to experiencing his miracles of healing. Rather than needing his healing and his miracles in order to provide them with faith after the fact. Bringing this lesson to our current lives, feeling the daily chaos from this broken world that seemingly never stops finding new ways of continuing to break even more, asking ourselves, where are these miracles like they had in the Bible? Bible times still being these times, like I said. Where are these miracles like they had in the Bible? Who is walking through our cities and small towns, helping the lame to walk and the blind to see, healing diseases that nobody knows how to heal? Why don't we get any of that miracle stuff to fix all of this brokenness? We better not call it being woke. But could anybody please wake up about any of this? And then, remembering, like I do on my good days, that those big Bible miracles came after faith showed the way. Walking in faith when there's no signs and wonders surrounding you, yet to prove to anyone that your faith is true, walking forward in faith anyway. When it comes to living within miracles today, I can think of miracles that happen all around us every day. Seeing someone who was once a hopeless drunk, feeling like the only life they had become only worth throwing away. Somehow, picking up a recovery anniversary chip in a 12-step meeting for 24 solid hours, 30 days continuous, 60 days continuous, or a whole year of continuous sobriety in every city, in every town, everywhere, every day. That person becoming one who now lives in service of others with a sense of purpose, 24 hours at a time. It's a freaking miracle. If you ever want to know miracles are happening again, go to a 12-step meeting. Whether or not you belong in that recovery group, you go and you watch lives become miracles right in front of your eyes every day. It's freaking awesome. Looking just right here at our own Purple Church of Jesus, which less than a year ago didn't exist anywhere in my consciousness until I felt through my own prayers that when I asked God, how can I be of service to you with whatever it is you'd like to ask me to do? As a friend of mine says, put me in the game. That it was going to turn out to be an affirming AF. Because guess what? I ain't swearing in this. Not a sermon so far. AF didn't count. I don't think I've sworn so far. I've been paying attention. Been trying. So back to where I was, not swearing. Where was I? Right here in Purple Church of Jesus, which less than a year ago didn't exist anywhere in my consciousness until I felt through my own prayers that when I asked God, how can I be of service to you with whatever it is you'd like to ask me to do, put me in the game. That it was going to turn out to be an affirming AF, LGBTQIA plus church, unafraid to be right out loud about directly addressing the spiritual abuse that our LGBTQIA plus families and communities experience routinely, very nearly as a rule, from trusted people of faith. And doing this by leading in with the teachings and example and pure love of our Savior himself, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, also known as my BFFFE. Of course, I thought, how in the world could I ever bring something forward like that? My dear, loving, ever so wise God, who, by the way, at the end of the day, is the only one that I can all the way trust. And then, one step at a time, one day at a time, with the faith that comes first, here we are, just a few months later. Apple Jackson me, and everybody up on the walls, and everybody, whoever's over there. Purple Church of Jesus is here, continuing. People may say that there are no more miracles like there were in the Bible, saying that if we had seen all of that healing of things that couldn't ever be healed, it would have been so easy to believe, but instead we have this. Same as they did back then. Moving forward in faith, leaning in with trust in his purpose for us, even when we don't know what that purpose is quite yet, or how to accomplish any of that when we actually do know. And there, with this Purple Church, like we're moving forward in the reverse order of what would make sense, just leaning in with faith, remembering that faith without works is dead part of things, and showing up with that same faith being the evidence of things not seen. And then here come the signs and wonders. For Purple Church of Jesus, that became clear on our very first brick and mortar day in 3 different ways, all through the day, not even kidding, with hummingbirds showing up in 3 different ways through the day, each with their own story. Randomly, here we are, saying in their own way, hey, Pastor Toddy Manners, thanks for listening. To begin with, and then for moving forward with all of your questions about everything through your faith. This all really happened. Knock on wood. Can't deny it. Because the miracle of it is all right in front of your eyes. Mine and Applejack's for sure. Through faith. Sometimes even when feeling all upside down and backwards, just asking, WTH, God, what am I supposed to do with all this stuff I don't get? Whatever it is. And then listening and believing. And without any of the answers of how to do that standing in front of you yet, lean into faith. And you'll see that, yep, miracles do still happen. And started out this not a sermon with that song by David Bowie, Let's Dance. And hearing it for the millionth time, but for the first time hearing it as a love song, and not just as a love song that I didn't even realize it was, but as a love song for Jesus and me out there dancing. It was a faith that has brought me to where we are right now with Purple Church of Jesus, and with being out there in the community as affirming to LGBTQIA plus human beings that also need to find that spiritual strength that everybody that has their faith all, okay, well, we're the right kind of churchy. The rest of you got to go. And those people of faith that have just said, everybody else go, and they have those moments of despair and depression that I talked about. They've got God, they've got their faith, they've got their pastor, they've got their community, they've got all of the people who they collaborate with. And I think that's awesome that they have all those things. I really do. We can't make it through our life without all of those things. I don't think, at least it helps us quite a bit. God for sure. But then to say, oh, you over there, sorry, you gotta find your way out through the brambles, through the mud and the sticks and the fire, because you're going to be burning up out there too, you remember, sinners. Showing up when I didn't know how the heck I do what we've just done. We meaning God and me, Jesus, my BFFFE. My brain has been here with Purple Church since then, just going, how do I do this? Move forward one day in faith. Whatever will happen, and we're going to do whatever God said to do with trying to put this church together, and here we are. So no wonder, with all of that just always prominent in my mind, I hear a song by David Bowie that's about love, I'm thinking about Jesus. I'm like, hey, Jesus, riding next to me. Maybe he's driving, I don't know. But we're listening to music, tapping out the beat on the side of on the door side with the window down, going, this is a pretty awesome song, Jesus. This is about us finding love and dancing and digging life together, And I think that faith works kind of like that. You get out there in the action of, for example, creating a church that didn't exist before, to be affirming as a sanctuary, standing up for people who are LGBTQIA, who have been told they don't belong anywhere, or they're sinners, or they're wrong, or they're this, or they're that, or they're this, or they're that, or quack, 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 their whole lives until they believe it and have experienced the spiritual abuse that would make them recoil from approaching it again, because they know how they felt before when they approached something like that, and that was terrible. Terrible ain't even the right word. Think of some physical abuse, spiritual abuse. I'm talking about physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse. Somebody who's gone through that training their whole lives of this is your role in your life, is to be abused in this way. Say it's by God. Then I've had that speech before. But to find a way to help people that have experienced that, God saying, hey, this is a thing that I'm thinking about asking you to do, or actually asking you to do, and me going, I don't know how to do that, God. Are you serious? Is there something else? Maybe something I can figure out what to do? Because that I don't know what to do. Just having that in my brain, showing up with faith. That's in my brain, that's in my brain, that's in my brain. Trying to do these things. I hear this song by David Bowie going, my brain is already there with the faith. And I'm not saying that some David Bowie song is a sign from God or anything, but I'm using that as an example that when you act in faith, or when I've acted in faith, my brain gets, and my spirit gets put in a place of communication with God, just by question of asking, how do I do this? You know, having a heart full of gratitude and asking the big questions of, what, you know, help me make sense of how to do this. You know, we're already having conversations all the time, and then the stuff starts popping up around us that I can see that I wouldn't have been able to see before. I would have walked right past. I wouldn't have noticed 3 little hummingbirds checking out Pastor Toddy Manners the day we opened, saying, hey, each with their own story that was huge and significant and applied to exactly what was happening that day to come in here. I wouldn't have seen any of that. Verifying along the way, you're in the right space, dude. You're doing the right stuff. Watch those signs. Those signs are happening all around us. Get our brain in the right place of faith, we're going to see it everywhere we go. You ask anybody who goes to a 12-step program what they're doing, staying in that day, walking in faith through stuff they've never faced before, seeing how others have done it, giving up what they can't control to God, say, I'm going to do the best I can with what I got, and seeing miracles happen every single day. So I really wanted to have not a sermon about faith and about looking for signs, and, you know, instead of us just being dismissive of, well, you know, there's no miracles anymore. Yeah, there are. But get your spirit and your soul and your heart, your brain, in a space of faith and action on that faith, even though it feels like you're just walking into another world that you don't know anything about. Before you know it, guess what's going to be showing up? Little hummingbirds saying, hey, you're going the right way, buddy. Keep it going. Act in faith. You know, there's your signs, there's your miracles. You'll see them everywhere. So one more time, let's dance. Put on your red shoes and dance the blues. Let's dance to the songs playing on the radio. Let's sway while color lights up your face. Let's sway. Sway through the crowd to an empty space. If you say run, I'll run with you. If you say hide, we'll hide. Because my love for you would break my heart in two. You should fall into my arms and tremble like a flower. Let's dance. For fear your embrace should fall. Let's dance. For fear tonight is all. Let's sway. You could look into my eyes. Let's sway. Under the moonlight. This serious moonlight. I love you all who are here. I love everybody on the wall who's here. I love the fact that I'm here. I showed up for this sober. Doing the best I can with what I got. Me and my puppy Apple Jacks. And we love you. And we'll see you on the last Thursday of the month, because the last shall be first. And now, as of today, every second. Remember, what is it that matters? Oh, every second. Live it, live it. It goes by too fast. I love you. And I say all these things, acting in faith and hoping that you find yours too. If you haven't already, you'll see those signs pop up like little hummingbirds all around you. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. You ready, Apple Jacks? Should we go play? You want to have a little treat? We'll go have some fun. Come on, bud. Let's do it. Let's do it. Here we go.